Thank you for clicking on the video. As you can see, we're jumping back into the Miss Pat universe. Now, if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the notifications button so that you know exactly when new videos is up and ready. As per usual, if you don't like spoilers and you never saw Miss Pat show before, you should jump off here, go watch Miss Pat, and then come back. If you don't care, we move on. Today, we're going to be talking about Junebug. Now, I actually like his character. I think he's pretty well written. He's one of those typical individuals who usually tries to hide their emotions with, humor and nonchalant behavior, but he actually is someone who feels quite deeply, and he's oftentimes the voice of reason for people, right? Like during the situation with Ashley and Brandon when they were seeing the same woman, Junebug was the one who talked to Ashley and showed her, exactly how she was looking. Like literally, he took a picture of her and showed her how she was dressed and like saying like, this is not who you are. If you gotta go out of your way to be someone and something that you're not, then you're messing with the wrong person. And she's like, yeah, you right. And also she won't Brandon. Now, there's nothing actually wrong with Brandon, but considering what the girl was on, like, it was just definitely not a situation for Ashley. And it wasn't a situation for Brandon that he should have been in either. He shouldn't have been messing with that girl either. And he saw that at the end for himself and said, okay, this is not for me. Goodbye. Which was the right thing to do. Another time that Junebug chooses to be the voice of reason for someone is when Janelle was going through the situation with her professor. He actually was the one that was like, you shouldn't allow nobody to be treating you any way that's less than what you deserve. And then proceeded to tell her to crash out. Now, the crash out part is because he's messy and he loves drama. He literally says that in an episode. But, ultimately, he's like, do what you need to do to make sure nobody is messing over you. And that's great advice. I don't think that she should have crashed out because ultimately she's kind of messing up her schooling at this point. She's ready to go to community college because of this situation with this professor who was not freaking worth it. But this ain't about that. He also is the one that helped Pat and Terry to see that the way that they were going about the situation when they had their marital rift, he was the one that was able to speak reason to them. They were in the living room arguing because they had him tied down for intervention that was the worst intervention in history. But in the midst of them arguing, the group, Ashley, Denise, Janelle, and Brandon, they in the kitchen arguing to try and figure out how to stop them from arguing. And Junebug is like, this is not it. And he's like, this is not my family. This is not the two people that raised me with love and care. Like, and he showed genuine emotion and, just allowed them to see, hey, you're not being who you are. And you need to, fix it. And fix it they did, And we see that a lot with Brandon, like that he does have these deeper emotions that he tries not to show. For instance, like in season 5, we see that it is hitting him harder with the fact that Brandon and Janelle is not in the house than he tried to originally let on. Now, we knew that he was, faking the funk when it came to Janelle finna go off to college because she missed her graduation, and it was actually Junebug's idea to throw that little, gathering and fake little ceremony at the house when she missed it. And if he didn't care, he would not have he wouldn't have put that idea in everybody's head to do it to help her still feel special on her graduation day. But he does care. He is inspired by them, and he does want to see them happy. And so he did that. And so when she and Brandon both are leaving the house, Brandon's already gone because of what happened at the end of season 4, and she's going off to college. It hits him hard, and he goes off, he gets drunk, he crashes Pat's car. Should he have gotten drunk? Should he have taken the car? No. his feelings were valid though. He just went about it the wrong way. In the same way he tries to have other people talk about what they're going through, he chooses to also cope in the worst possible ways as well. So it's like, how can you try to tell somebody, but it's like the whole thing of not taking your own advice type of situation. And that is what ultimately ended up happening. And it led to some more serious stuff that I don't want to actually talk about in this video. We'll get to it though. But yeah, he ultimately ends up breaking down and saying exactly how he feels about them leaving. And I think he's really just lonely. Everybody is gone. Like, Denise is Denise is Pat's manager, and Pat is always on the road basically. Terry's always at work. And then his siblings are now gone as well. He just don't know what to do. He's used to having his family around, and it's just weighing on him, right? And I understand why, because he is inspired by his family quite a lot. He that situation that he got in with that girl when she was pregnant, he was inspired by his dad, and that's why he was like, well, if my dad can do it, I know that I can do it, like, and help this woman take care of this child, even though it's not mine. I know I can be the best for them, because I seen with my own two eyes someone who can also do that. And it led to a big situation. I'm glad that they did that in 2 episodes, because I did not like that situation at all. But I feel like it was a good moment for us to see, how he thinks. In his head, he really can do these things because he has people around him who has inspired him and said, hey, we can do this, so you can too, is how he's taking it. Even though that's not really the situation that you should be trying to put yourself into, you know what I mean? But inspiring others is also a thing that he does. He's not just inspired by his family, he also chooses to inspire his family. For instance, he helped Denise do the TikTok live when she wanted to promote her Denise grease. Now, her product is ass, but she wanted a platform. She was going to do it on her TikTok, and he was like, you know what, Auntie, I have a bigger following and more people will see your product on my live, so I'll help you out. You know what I mean? And a lot of people did see it, even though her product is not the best. Another time where he helped out someone and inspired them was when their cousin came into town, and she was on BS, but he had her sing on his TikTok, and her video actually went viral. It helped her to be able to look at herself outside of the norm and say, okay, wait, there is more that I can do with myself. Even though they ain't want her to do it around them, it allowed her to see that I possibly could reach further for the stars, And also, Junebug is the whole reason Brandon got that job at the school. He knew that the gaming club needed a coach, and he told Brandon when Brandon came in complaining about being a stripper. Fair enough. So he was like, and I don't think Janelle knew about it. So even though she goes to school, they be in 2 different, ends of situations at schools. I don't think Janelle knew about it, and if it wasn't for Junebug, Brandon would not have been able to get that job. He also is the one that bought Janelle's bobblehead at that yard sale. Janelle is very proud of her activism, and she's very proud of the items she owns. I'm pretty sure the only reason she was going to sell those items was because she wanted a little pocket change for when she went off to college. I can't really remember exactly what she said, but he bought that bobblehead, I think, for a couple of reasons. So that he could have a memento of his sister when she goes off to college, but also because I think he did see how she was, reacting to nobody wanting to buy her stuff, and it did put a smile on his face, seeing the smile on her face when she saw that, oh, somebody bought something. I wonder if she peeped that he was the one that bought it, but I think Miss Pat noticed that he is the one that bought it. On the last thing I really want to talk about is Jumba be noticing stuff, right? Like for instance, when he and Janelle was working at that cupcake place, Janelle noticed a little bit, but I'm pretty sure Junebug was the first one to be like, bro, these people are acting weird. They want drugs or something, right? I'm pretty sure it was Junebug who peeped it first, and they immediately went into, okay, we need to figure out what type of situation we in, and get out of it. Speaking of situations, like Miss Pat, Miss Pat always has Junebug help her, right? So Junebug told her that he didn't know nothing about podcasts, but he was the one that she wanted his help with the podcast with. I hope I said that right. I just confused myself with that sentence. But yeah, and then that situation with the robbery episode, Junebug was the only one of her kids that knew about that situation and was helping with the situation. The other kids found out, but he was involved with trying to fix the situation. So it's quite funny. Even when she wanted to go to the comedy club in season 5, now he was getting paid, but he was gonna help her no matter what. We all know he was gonna help her no matter what. Cause they, Junebug is the more hood one, right? Like when she was selling the coupons, Junebug was involved in that too, right? So he got that bouginess of, growing up with 2 loving parents and being around these kids, and wanting to fit in with these kids that he's around. But also, like, when it's time to get your hands a little dirty, you gotta get your hands a little dirty, But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. If I forgot something, it'll probably be in another video. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. And why don't you tell me what is your favorite Junebug moment if you have one? With that being said, until next time, bye.